You are now tuned in to the Jake Gagain Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jake Gagain Show. My name is Jake Gagain. I got a special guest today. We're going to be switching it up a little bit on the Jake Gagain Show. We're going to be talking about the cryptocurrency industry. And today I'm joined by Mike, the investor. Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Jake, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to actually put a face with a name, brother.
Yeah, man, we've been talking on Twitter, and it's good to finally meet someone, although it's still via Zoom. One of the reasons is COVID related. One of the reasons is because we're in different parts of the world. But yeah, man, it's definitely great to meet you. A lot of interesting things we're going to be talking about today. But first, I kind of want to give a background of how we met. You know, one of my good friends, Jimmy Hill, told me about the Voyager app, and that's where he was doing his investments. I was a Coinbase loyal. You know, I was always, since 2017, investing in Coinbase. I was like, I'll never leave Coinbase. And then just after, researching the Voyager app, it kind of led me to, certain articles and certain YouTube videos. And that's actually how I found you. I saw your video on the Voyager app, and I just think it's funny that I found you on YouTube. I started seeing you on Twitter and reached out and was like, hey, man, let's get together and let's do a podcast because I know that we can make some magic and have some good conversations on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I'm glad you reached out.
Absolutely, dude. You've built a great following too. So I'm just curious, before we dive into all the coins that we've been talking about and everything that we want to get to, how did you get started as Mike the investor, and where did your, interest in cryptocurrency start?
Yeah. So before I even got into crypto, I was only in the stocks, and I started investing into cryptocurrency in March 2020 during the last recent, big crash. And so that was the time back when Bitcoin was around $3,000 to $5,000. And so that was probably what I think could be probably the last low bottoms that we may see, even with a big crash, And so that was the time when I started investing a lot of money. So honestly, just being transparent, like for the next 2.5 to 3 months, typically money I would invest in the stock market was only invested in the crypto. And so at that time, I was really educating myself on cryptocurrency. And of course, I started with Bitcoin, moved down to Ethereum, and then from there, the rest was history. But how Mike the Investor came apart was first, I started off investing back in April 2019. And so I started my YouTube channel June 2019. And then from there, the idea was for the YouTube channel was first to kind of help me stay on track and to stay consistent with my investing journey. And the reason why I started investing was to take control of, my own finances and be able to, leave corporate America. And so from doing that, the YouTube channel turned into me being able to, share some of my tips and be able to help other people maybe not make the same mistakes I've made, and be able to just kind of share my journey transparently. And then from there, it started becoming something bigger than myself. And then the idea is to eventually become a full-time content creator. And I'm very close to achieving that now. So.
Hell yeah, bro. Congratulations. And I saw that you, I remember when you hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers, and now you're at over 13.9K. So yeah, you're doing something right, man. And your content, I think what's great about your content is it's so engaging, and it's so informative too, right? Like it's engaging, you're keeping people's attention, but you're also providing an incredible amount of value. So I think that's why you're seeing so much success. Definitely.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So I just wanted to give the audience a little background on how we met. This is obviously our first time meeting, face to face and talking, but we've been going back and forth for a little while. I think a great place to start, because we both do invest on the Voyager app. We're both very bullish on the Voyager token. But for people that aren't necessarily familiar with Voyager, do you mind kind of explaining a little bit about it and why you're so bullish on the app and the token?
Yeah. So the Voyager app is a public traded company, and they created a platform that eventually they will be making a desktop, but it was a platform to allow definitely newer investors to make a user-friendly platform that has free fees, and to allow people to earn passive income while holding cryptocurrency on the platform. And one of those cryptocurrencies was Voyager, which was a consistent and for sure way to make sure the token got utility, by offering passive income for holding it. And then also with it having that short of maximum supply, it's about 210 coins total. And so with that being said, it makes the scarcity of it very rare as well. And so for me, I immediately saw the value because I always say this: if you understand blockchain tech first and you kind of understand their use cases, it makes it a little bit easier to understand, what projects and things like that to invest in, depending on what comes across your radar. And so I still think Voyager is ground floor prices, even though people that's investing super early like people that's invested, under $1, congrats to them, but I still think these are ground floor prices, knowing the potential of where things are going. I mean, we have less than 2% of the total money supply that's in crypto, so we still have so much. I mean, we're still so early, to the crypto space. And I think as newer investors, they may not truly understand how early we truly are. And I think that's one of the biggest downsides, Jake, is like, man, we're so early and not all the certain projects that we're in is going to pop when we want to. And we see other coins kind of jump up. And so the problem is we have to wait, until that happens. And I think that's one of the downsides to being so early.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, like the Voyager token has already popped, right? Like in the past 6 months, it's 5,000%, right? And
Absolutely.
when I invest, I invest in companies, right? So one, I'm investing in our fearless leader, Steven, the CEO of Voyager. They're expanding at an incredible rate. And I always look for, how a CEO is listening to their community. And this is a guy that actually listens to his community. They have interest on all of their tokens. They have loyalty rewards. Like this is a company that is going to boom. They're only in the United States, I believe, right now. And they're going to be expanding to Europe. They're going to be expanding to Australia. They're going to be expanding to Canada. So, I mean, look, people in crypto, it's like, yeah, you do expect those very quick returns. But I look at Voyager and I'm like, look at the returns that it's brought. And this is just the beginning. Like what happens when they get into Europe? What happens? Like it's only going to go up, in my opinion, and not financial advice. This is my opinion. But that's why I'm so bullish. But like you've seen on Twitter in the past couple of days, and if anybody's listening, it's the end of March right now, middle of March. People are freaking out because it's like hovering around $6, $4, $5. And it's like, I guarantee you and we're going to look back on this video in a year and we're going to be laughing that people were freaking out that Voyager token was at $5.
Dude, I mean, it's really a blessing, man. And when you talk about investing in the CEO, Steven, man, I mean, really as well, the entire team, the company, also the track record, though, because it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm invested in the team, I'm invested in the CEO, but we're invested in him because of what he's already proven to the community. Former CEO of E-Trade and other people they have on the team. You know what I mean? It makes it really comfortable, and it gives us a lot of confidence as investors, you know what I mean, to invest in this project.
Yeah, that's exactly what I look for. I think, the no transaction fees is another great, great perk. A lot of people on Twitter will be like, yeah, well, you're paying a higher price because there's no transaction fees, but overall, they make it very easy. Voyager does, to set up recurring payments. That's what I do. I put in X amount a day into Bitcoin, X amount a day into Ethereum, and then I kind of, will put more money into smaller coins, but they just make it very simple to invest. It's a great user experience. And obviously the desktop, application is going to be coming soon. So I think for anybody that's investing in the VGX token and for anybody that's using the Voyager application, you should be very bullish. I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon with Voyager. Yeah,
absolutely. And then even if you just mentioned the debit card that's going to be coming out as well, I mean, that's going to be massive, and so, and then imagine when the VGX token starts to become on more exchanges. Can you imagine VGX being put on the Coinbase exchange? Can you imagine, so just imagine these different things starting to happen as more adoption set in. Like we're still so early.
Yeah, and the exchange effect, I don't know if it's been termed yet. That might be the term actually, but like when these coins get listed on other exchanges, it makes sense that that more people are going to buy it and the price is going to go up because there's more visibility. Like we just saw it with Cardano with Coinbase this week. Like it was listed on Coinbase Pro, and boom, 20%, right? So it's like I think the effect is a real thing. My only hesitation is like, are other exchanges going to list other exchanges on their platform? Like would Coinbase list a competitor like Voyager on their platform?
Well, I think I think this, and I think that's a great question, Jake. I think if it's profitable, yes, because we always know it's about the money, right? And so if they can get a big enough spread and it's profitable for the company, why would they not? Because at the end of the day, Coinbase know they can't win everyone. So why not find the person who's getting the other share and get some too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because Coinbase, like, the reason I left was because of their transaction fees. So it's like, if, hey, we can get $3 every time someone buys the Voyager token, like, we're going to go ahead and do that. So I think that's a phenomenal point.
Yeah. And then if you think about it as well, you technically can buy the VGX token on Binance BQX. So I mean, technically it's listed on another big, it's listed on another huge exchange, which is Binance. So for people who can't purchase it in the United States, that's in the NYC, you can purchase it on Binance. BQX is the ticker symbol. So
very nice, man. I want to ask you a question too, because, a lot of my followers, they're not really into the crypto space. I have a select few of friends that are investing. There's more awareness being spread around, but I would say probably 85% of people that are listening from my personal page are not already invested in crypto. Do you have any advice? Like, what's a good place for them to start? What would be your beginner's method into getting into cryptocurrency?
Yeah, first thing first, man, I'm kind of old school and fundamental. I would say definitely get a book. Get a book and read it. Secondly, there is a lot of good information out there on YouTube, but I think us as humans, we have to be disciplined enough to look at the right videos. And what I mean by that is not looking at the videos that's just going to give a price prediction. You know what I mean? Look at the videos that's actually going to give you more value about the fundamentals and what the use case is of the actual cryptocurrency. And so I also think Twitter is like a great source as well for cryptocurrency. I mean, almost every project has a strong community out there. All you got to do is put the hashtag in or the dollar symbol and the ticker symbol, and you can just scroll. I mean, there's so much great content out there that you'll be amazed. You just have to, look, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm pretty new to Twitter, man. Like, I got on Twitter like 2 months ago, and I've literally done a lot of my research. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you've heard of Luna, right? One of the tokens, Luna. But just because of strictly, this might not be the best advice, but strictly because of their community, I invested in Luna because I saw how strong the community was. And I think it's up 200% from when I invested, from $5 to $20. So it's like, it just is amazing. I think Twitter's a great space to start in terms of researching and doing investments. And don't take my advice and just buy because of a community. But I'll tell you what, it worked for me, and it actually is a fantastic project.
Yeah. And I think that's the benefit of also being an early adopter like us. When you're early, I mean, sometimes, man, you just can get those gains because you're early. That's why I think, if you
here's the statistic, right? Like, the crypto market just hit 1 trillion, right? Bitcoin just hit 1 trillion. The US government just printed 1.9 trillion out of thin air. If that doesn't show you how early we are, then I don't know what will. People see the Bitcoin prices. Like, I remember back in 2018, like, I saw Bitcoin at 12,000. I was like, oh, is it too late? So people probably see it approaching, 40, 50, 60K, and they're like, is it too late? But the thing is like, we are so early. Like, do your research and understand what's out there. And I'm telling you, this is like the beginning of the crypto market. Don't look at the price of Bitcoin. Like, this is the very beginning, and there's never been a better time to get in.
I agree, man, because if you look at it, what cryptocurrency is, long term, it's only going to go up. So technically, which is not financial advice, granted, you just want to throw money in, but if you're invested in the right project, this is the best time to buy, because long term, it's only going to go up from here.
Literally. And obviously some might fail, right? Some might go down, which is normal, right? That's the risk that you take. But like, overall, it's very promising, especially with the bigger dogs like Bitcoin, Ethereum. There's other projects out there like DOT. I'm hype on OMI, which we'll get to in a second. But before we get to OMI, I want to see what other coins right now. I've seen a lot of your videos talking about BTT, BitTorrent, and Iota. I just want to pick your mind on those two tokens, and if we can spend some time starting on BTT, because I saw your most recent video. I was interested. I invested because of your video. But yeah, if you could tell the audience a little bit about BTT and why you're so bullish on it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And so BitTorrent is one of those tokens that kind of get a lot of hate, and my thing is, if you notice, I try to talk about coins that I believe in, but you don't hear a lot of, videos already being talked about, because, Bitcoin, Ethereum, there's already a ton of people talking about those coins, right? And so if I see value in a project, which I've been transparent and always show that I'm invested in this as well, instead of just saying, hey, I think this project will be great. Well, I'm actually showing the public that I'm invested in this as well. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, right? And so what I think about BitTorrent, if we look at the decentralized storage use case, well, first we have to look at Tron, because BitTorrent runs on Tron, right? And so Tron whole use case and whole mission is to make the entire internet peer-to-peer, for us to be able to interact peer-to-peer without the friction, without the middleman. All right. And so BitTorrent is one of the largest tokens on Tron that is for content creators like you and myself, that has digital storage for people who store their storage on, which we know data is so powerful and it is so valuable. Why you think NFTs are so popular now today. And so we have the use case of BitTorrent when we look at the entire world and when we look at how the world is going to shift with cryptocurrency and blockchain. And as you start to see everything getting ready to be put on blockchain, a lot of people say, well, man, it has so many coins. It has almost 1 trillion coins. And I don't like Justin Sun. Well, I'm looking at the entire use case. And if you look at one, decentralized storage is going to be big. File sharing is going to be big. Peer-to-peer internet without friction and middlemen is going to be big. That's why blockchain is here now. It cuts out the middleman, you know? And so when you look at these things and you look at the use case of the coin, besides the actual CEO who bought out the company, I see true value in the company. Not saying it's going to go to $1 in the next 3 to 5 years, but I believe in if you can buy into a project extremely cheap, because I believe quantity is king. If you can buy into a coin extremely cheap, like you did with Luna before it even hit a cent, if you can buy millions and millions of quantity, you don't have to wait for it to hit $1 for you to get that type of money, right? And so I already believe in the project and I know it's going to go up in the future. So for me, I want to try to accumulate as much as I can on the big dips before it hits a penny. Because if you think about it, if we just look at numbers, say you have a project and you have a billion tokens under a penny. When it hits a penny, that's $10,000, right? And so it costs you less than that to make that, right? And so let's say you got 5 million under that. When it hits that, now you're looking at $50,000. You know, if it hits, you know what I mean? So when you look at the quantity and you look at the amount, you don't have the idea is not to wait for it to hit $1. You know, if you know there's value and you know it's going to go up, you buy now. You know, the people who buy early are the ones who get the most gains.
Exactly, man. I think that's a great way to look at it too. I remember that was the one takeaway from your video is like, hey, it doesn't have to hit $1. You said this. You're like, hey, it doesn't have to hit $1 for me to be a millionaire. It's like you could also have 2 million tokens and it could hit 50 cents. You could have 4 million tokens, it could hit 25 cents, right? So I thought that was a cool way of looking at it. I feel like we get so stuck as investors on like just the easy to see numbers, right? Like everyone falls into that trap. Like, hey, I have 100,000. If it hits $1, I have 10,000, right? Stuff like that. But it's like, look, you could buy more when it's cheaper and only spend $5,000, but have $1 million now. And then when it hits that $1, it's like, boom, you have 5 million, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I will say like I will be honest, has never been a better time to make some ridiculous money in the crypto space. And for all of my followers and everybody listening, feel free to reach out to me. I'm glad to share my tips and traits, not financial advice. And then for anybody that's new that's listening, please follow Mike the Investor on Instagram, Mike the Investor on Twitter, and go check out his YouTube page, 13.9 thousand. Let's get him to 14,000 tonight. That's my guy, Mike the Investor. A lot of great feedback, a lot of great topics there. And we're both glad, I'm sure I can speak for Mike, but we're glad to help you out and share some advice, where we can. Obviously not giving financial advice, but kind of sharing tips that have worked for us.
Absolutely.
Perfect, man. That was a fantastic definition of BitTorrent. I think that's a pretty cool token. And like, dude, I trust you. And I do invest in a lot of the things you talk about. I want to talk about something I'm not familiar with though. Iota. I saw you post a video about Iota. I saw you talk about Iota. Can you kind of explain to me? I'm actually curious too. Like, what is Iota? Why are you so bullish on Iota right now?
Yeah. So the Iota is the protocol who uses the distributed ledger technology that is not blockchain tech. It uses what you call a tangle, so it doesn't have graphs or chains. And so the reason why they did that is because they thought it would fix the problem of scalability and feeless problems that's with Ethereum and Bitcoin as we see now. Gas fees are extremely high, and
Crazy high,
so
bro.
with crazy high, right? And so Iota, they like to call it the 3.0, 4.0 coin. It was completely built and designed for machine to machine economy, for humans to interact and send machines data, and also for the Internet of Things, micropayments. And it's also feeless. You can also build on top of it dApps, smart contracts. They have businesses like Intel already working with them, so they're focusing on some of the biggest industries like the supply chain management, uh, mobility, smart cities, which we know is the future. So this coin is completely designed for where we are headed. If we look at 5G, if we look at artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, all of these things that we have in our home will be connected to the internet. If you look at it now, I'm not familiar how familiar you are with smart homes now. You have a thermostat you can set where it sets a certain temperature for you, where you don't have to touch it. You have smart blinds where they open up at the time. You have smart doors and locks. You have all these things that are already here right now. This is what this coin is set up for, and they will be able to be utilized on the Iota Tangle distributed ledger technology. And the thing that was so interesting to me was, and I didn't really grasp until I started digging deep into Iota, is that every blockchain is distributed. Every blockchain is a distributed ledger technology, but not every distributed ledger technology is a blockchain, right? And so the distributed ledger technology that Iota uses is called Tangle, where it doesn't use where it doesn't use chains or blocks, right? And so that's why in a nutshell, that's why I invested in Iota.
Yeah, that's a great definition. And I can tell just by listening to you, man, like you've done your research 100%. It's like, I know that what's coming out of your mouth is like, this has been tried and true. And I think that's why you have such a strong community online listening to you. But everything that you said about Iota, it's like, it sounds like it's very promising, and it sounds like it has a lot of potential use case in the future.
Yeah. I mean, not financial advice, but you should check it out whenever you get a second, Jake, and just let me know what you think, man.
Oh man, as soon as we end this podcast, I'm checking it out and I'm going to shoot you a text and let you know. Cause it's like, so far you haven't let me wrong. I'll tell you that much, because Voyager, you were the one that actually led me to that, along with my buddy, Jimmy Hill. Shout out Jimmy Hill. But you were the one that kind of guided me through that with your YouTube videos. And then with BTT, it's been performing very well. And I'll also check out Iota. I love how we have to say that, not financial advice, because we are not financial advisors, but guess what? We are early in the crypto space. We're doing pretty well. And it kind of makes us feel pretty good in that we might be financial advisors one day.
Absolutely, it does feel good, man.
Yeah, it's an incredible, like, it opened my eyes. It's just so new. It's just such a new industry that a lot of people are kind of scared of it, or like they don't think it's going to work, or they think it's a little bit too late. Whatever the thing that goes on in your head that's like, hey, this is not going to work, or I'm too late, or it's too much, or it's too new. Kind of get rid of that. Like, the crypto space is one of the most exciting spaces that you can be in, and it really is such an infant industry. I mean, around a decade old, a little over a decade old. Like, it is so infant, and it's going to be crazy when you and I are 50 years old, 60 years old, and we look back and someone's like, yo, they were the pioneers, those guys, right? Like, it's going to be pretty wild.
It's going to be crazy just to see, even just to see the next 5 years. It's going to be crazy to see what everything does.
Yeah. I mean, dude, where is Bitcoin going to be in 5 years, right? It's like right now I don't have it exactly up, but it was sitting around 58,000, went from 3,000 to 58,000 in literally 365 days. It's like, with Tesla buying in, like, that other companies are going to buy in. It's going to be incredible to see where Bitcoin is going to be. Are we allowed to give price predictions? Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in 5 years per coin?
Man, per coin? Honestly, in 5 years, man, not financial advice. And there's going to be people say, man, Mike, that's too high and that's too low. I think Bitcoin will probably be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a coin.
I think that's fair. It's like you never know, because it's like it's so volatile, and all it takes is really one company, right? Like Elon Musk came in, put money in 20%, right? So imagine if Apple, imagine if Amazon, imagine if Microsoft, someone endorses Bitcoin. It's inevitable that someone's going to do it, but it's like, dude, it's gonna boom. It is gonna pop.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the people that was like, man, 50,000, that's too high. Think about the people that was looking at Bitcoin at 5,000. They said, man, that's too high.
Dude,
man,
it's always too high, bro. It's always like when it's at the top, it's always too high until it goes higher. It's like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Literally, man. Like I bought a lot of Tesla, a few months back, and it was like 300, 400. I'm like, oh, it's so high. But then it's like, it reaches 850 and you're like, oh, that's so high. And it's like, dude, it's always so high. Like, do your advice, but it's like, there's no time like the present, right? Like it's tough to time the market. That's why I always recommend dollar cost averaging, and then when it dips, you put more in, but it's so hard to time the market. And there's a lot of people on the sidelines right now looking at Bitcoin. I'm sure listening to this, like it's too high, but guess what? When it hits 100K, it's going to be too high. And then when it hits 200K, and
it's going to be too high.
And you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, it was at 50K. Like, why did I not invest? And I had a buddy, Amir Zenenham, come on my show. I think I sent you the podcast. And this was when Bitcoin was at an all-time high at 35K. And he was recommending to my, the listeners, he's like, hey, just put, whatever you can every day, $10, $15 in a day to Ethereum and into Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin was 35,000. Ethereum was like 700. And it's like, if you would have done that, you would have almost doubled your money by now, right? But even then, though, it was an all-time high. And I had my friends saying like, hey, it's too high. It's like, so to wrap that up and to bring that home, it's like, it will always be too high until it hits that next level. I think it's better to kind of, not financial advice, it's better to get started. This is what I do. Just get started, dollar cost average in. And then when it dips, put more money in and kind of see where it goes from there.
Yep. And the thing is, when investing and when starting a new position, I've learned to understand that, hey, there's a chance that it's probably may go down a little bit. Yeah. That's why you nibble just a tad and then wait for the big dips to load up. Like on Bitcoin right now. Right now, it's kind of consolidating around that 0.0016, right? And so if someone's looking to start a position, not financial advice, but this would be a time to potentially start a position, because this is at a support level, right? You don't want to buy at a resistant level, because that's where you have the most volatility, and so you want to buy at the support levels of it. And so that's kind of what I do. Look for the support level, watch the weekly chart, watch the monthly chart, kind of see where it's been, watch the 3-month, the yearly, and see how much it's ran up. And then at the same time, make your assessment. I think it all depends on how long do you want to hold this asset. And if it's just a complete long term, at the end of the day, at some point, it really don't matter where you buy in.
Exactly, dude, because it's going to go up. That's my strategy, bro. I'm a holder. I can pride myself on one thing. I've never sold at a loss in my life. Nothing. I hold everything, man. I'm a hoarder. It's like it's been returning even when stuff crashes, right? Like even the VGX token, I'm sure a lot of people are selling because it hits $6-7 and then it's sitting at $4. It's like, dude, I'm holding that forever. And that's just kind of my strategy, and it hasn't hurt, so it's like, it's good. But we're about 30 minutes in. I think this is a great time to transition to the hottest coin on the market, the hottest token on the market, and that is OMI. I know that we talked and you said that you don't have too much information on OMI. You haven't done too much research, so I feel like this is a great time to share. But I would do myself a disservice. I would do my new followers that I've gathered on Twitter a disservice if we didn't talk about the bull run of OMI that has been occurring. And I have to say, with the rise of NFTs, my buddy Jimmy Hill, shout out him again. God, this guy is just getting all the shout outs. He put me on NFTs about 2 months ago, before they were a thing, before Gary Vee was posting about NFTs, before anybody was posting about NFTs. And for those who aren't aware of what an NFT is, it's a non-fungible token. And essentially what it is a digital collectible. So it's a way for you to let's talk sports cards, Pokemon cards. These are physical collectibles. NFTs are going to be that digital collectible that you can collect online. And you might say, that's crazy, but it's essentially digital artwork. And what's cool about it is no longer do you have to have just a Barry Bonds baseball card. You can have on your computer one of 100 copies, Barry Bonds hitting a 766 home run at San Francisco, and own that moment. So it's going to take a little while for people to kind of wrap their heads around it. Like, wait, I can't physically touch it, but here's the thing, you still own it. So obviously, since NFTs have come about, Gary Vee has been pumping them. Logan Paul, the king of Omi, we're going to grant him that title pretty soon on Twitter. He was talking about, he released his own NFT. In less than an hour, he sold over $3 million worth of a digital collectible of a Logan Paul card. Can you imagine that? $3 million worth. Rob Gronkowski, the first NFL player, the first athlete to sell an NFT, his sold for over $1 million. So it's like, there's just so much hype around this industry. Do I think it's going to be this prices forever? Probably not. But I can tell you there's so much hype around it. And the reason that I'm so hype around Omi is because it's a gem. It's a token for this app called Vive. And Vive Collectible has some incredible licensing with DC Marvel and the Batman team, or DC Comics, the Batman. They just signed a partnership with NFL. I think that might be quiet news, so I'll be quiet about that. But they have some incredible licensing, and what it is essentially digital collectibles mixed with AR and VR, right? So it's like you can buy a Batman, you can have your phone, and you can have a life-size Batman and take it with you wherever you go. And it might sound crazy talking about this now, but in 5 years when the VR goggles and the technology catches up, how cool is that going to be to say, hey, Mike, come over to my house, put on my goggles, and you can see my collection of Tom Brady, of Patrick Mahomes, of Batman. Like, it really is the future. And what's cool is the Omi token has gotten so much hype. Logan Paul talked about it on his podcast. Gary Vee's talked about it. Floyd Mayweather's getting involved. Like, there are so many influential people in the cannabis space talking about Omi. And in the past 7 days, it's went from 0.002, right? So less than a penny, 0.002. And then today, right now, it's approaching 1 penny. It's at 0.099. So it has shot up incredibly. The amount of conversation around it has been just tremendous. And here's the thing, it's only listed on 2 exchanges. So it's listed on BitMax and Bit4X, and it's going to be listed on Uniswap in 6 days. So obviously I talked about the exchange effect. When it gets on Uniswap, they have over 100,000 active people using their app. It makes sense that it's probably going to go up, right? Not financial advice. That's my favorite thing to say. I'm just gonna get that tatted on me. So like, not financial advice, but it's true. So I was extremely early into Omi, and I have to give another shout out to Jimmy Hill, but also Cam Jones, rapper, musician out of Santa Maria, California. Shout out Cam Jones. And it's been incredible to just see the community and the growth. And it's wild to be in on something so early, right? Like, we're talking months ago early, and to see the growth and to honestly see the potential of where it can go. So I hope that was a good job of explaining Omi. But it's in that NFT digital collectible space. It's a token. And, we can get into the tokenomics too, because they're burning so many tokens and the buybacks that they're doing. But ultimately, man, like, I am so bullish on Omi. I have crowned myself the unofficial king of Omi. So I wear the crown until I pass it off to either Logan Paul, Gary Vee, or Elon Musk. But so far on Twitter, incredible community. I love my Omi community. And that's Omi, man. Fucking stoked on it.
That's what's up. I could tell, man. I could feel the passion, dude. So
yeah,
I could feel it, man. So that's dope, man. That's dope. And I'm gonna look into it. Yeah,
man. It's still early. Like, my friend, even yesterday, he was like, hey, like, it's at 0.0077, right? He's like, is it too late? I'm like, bro, you are so early. Like, we're gonna look back when it's at $5 and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I had the chance to buy under a penny. Like, dude, it's going to just keep going to new exchanges. They're going to start securing more licensing and releasing more NFTs. Like, when they release a Tom Brady NFT, this shit's going to go to the moon. And it already is at the moon, So, yeah, man, I'm super hype on Omi. I'm super bullish on it. And like, I just think it has, the potential to do some amazing things and change a lot of people's lives.
Man, I could tell. So I'm gonna definitely take a look at it, man.
And I do work in sales for a living, so maybe that was a good sales pitch. Maybe if the CEO's listening, hey, No, I love my job, but that's that's on me, man. And that's the thing though, that there's so many exciting projects, right? Like if I had someone on here that was a lunatic, I don't know if that's what they call themselves, but someone that was into Luna, it's like every project is amazing. We're so early. Like there's just so many cool things to do. And it's like you can find your way in different projects. And yeah, man, it's just a very, very exciting time. And like I really do believe sitting here in March 2021, it's like, who knows what the future holds? Like who knows if what's going to happen to the crypto space and where these products are going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is something to think about too.
Yeah.
So before this bull run took off, we wasn't at $1 trillion. Well, we hit close to about 1.7 trillion. Okay. Wow. So imagine yourself, even when we have, because this is what I think, not financial advice. All right. They're going to be like, how many times did these guys say this
that's
in
my
this podcast?
Dude, that's the podcast name. Let's make that the name. Not financial advice with Mike the Investor.
Sounds good. And so when I think that we're going to have maybe a steeper pullback towards the end of the year prior to the next big second wave of the bull run is what I think potentially. So I'm going to put this on the record. I think we may potentially see a nice crash in the market because right now we've seen a nice pullback, not an actual crash, right? And so I think we're going to see a nice crash probably September, October-ish, which will kind of consolidate until about November, December. And that's when we will see the big pull explosion for crypto going into 2022. That's what I think.
Love it. And it's on the record, it's on video, and I'll definitely follow up and we'll see. I think that's a very accurate because it's like we're at all-time highs with everything, right? Yeah. So at some point, these people have been holding Bitcoin, Ethereum since $10, $20. It's like you need to take your profits. And I think if they start seeing like it's just human, you start seeing the price kind of drop down to 40,000, 30,000, like you're going to be like, look, those are my profits. Like I'm going to pull my money out. It continues to slide. But to be completely honest, it's like, look, I'm in this for the long run. Like, even if it does drop, it's like, just like with the Voyager token, it dropped. I think it's probably sitting around $4.55 today. Haven't touched a single token. It's like, dude, I'm in it for the long run, man.
I bought more.
Exactly. Yes. That's what you have to do though. Not financial advice. You have to do that though. It's like when it drops, when people are most fearful, you need to be most greedy. When people are most greedy, you need to be most fearful. Shout out to our man, Warren Buffett. I wish he would buy Bitcoin, but if not, we still love him and he's got great financial advice. But I think that really is a great prediction in terms of what's going to happen with the market. And we'll check back in September. But if that happens for you, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, and obviously this is not financial advice, but do you just hold through it? Do you sell and take some of your profits that you've earned?
Well, me personally, I have positions that I'm looking to take profit on, and then I have positions that I'm just completely holding because I've invested low enough where I know that there have been new lows been set a couple times since March of 2020. Okay. And so even with a big crash, I highly doubt we see Bitcoin ever back at $5,000. Seeing it under 20,000 would shock a lot of people. Right. Yeah. And so there's a lot of new lows that have been set in. So I think selling on a hasty decision, knowing what I own, would kind of be crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think like the only thing that would cause like Bitcoin or anything like that to go below those numbers that you talked about is like if a country came out and was like, hey, we're banning Bitcoin, right? If the United States came out and was like, yo, we're not allowing Bitcoin, it would probably crash. Or China, right? Like it would probably crash. But yeah, I think you're right. Like we'll never, in my opinion, we'll never see Bitcoin in the 3,000s, probably under 10,000. Like I just don't see it happening with all the awareness. The fact that Tesla put how much did they put in? Like 1.5 billion into Bitcoin. Like, and because they did it, because they did it, like that opens the door for other people. No one wants to be first, but some other entrepreneurial, super wealthy CEO can say, oh my God, Tesla made how much money? They made more money from putting their money into Bitcoin than they did from selling cars in 8 years. It's like, so, I know MicroStrategy, Grayscale, all these public companies are doing a lot and kind of getting investors and getting people into Bitcoin. But I'm telling you, all it takes is one Apple, one Amazon, one Microsoft from Bitcoin from going from 50,000 to 200,000. And I don't think we're that far away. I really don't think so.
We're not, man, because think about it. We went from just March 2020, we went from 3K to freaking almost 60. So think about that. 50K to 100K is not that far. It's the same difference. It's just a
Yeah.
higher value amount now. It's the same
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
not,
so it's definitely possible.
yeah, it's inevitable in my opinion. Like that's why I invest, I invest in stocks, like stocks that I believe in, like Apple, Tesla, and then some other stocks. But like, dude, most of my money's going to the crypto space because one, it's so profitable, and two, it's like there's just such a bright future, such a bright future, man. Like especially Bitcoin. It's like I personally, um, it's like I can see this, and I what's his name, Chamath? I don't want to mess this up. The old Facebook
I know you're
executive.
talking about though, yeah.
Chamath P. Shout him out. He's a great guy.
Billionaire.
Yeah, billionaire. But he was like, look, Bitcoin's going to go. He's been in Bitcoin since like 2014, 2013. He's like, look, Bitcoin's going to go from 50K to 100 to 200 to 250. Like, and I believe that. It's like this guy knows what he's talking about. He sees the future, and it's like there's so many people that I look up to, like Chamath, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, like Pomp, all these guys that are in Bitcoin. And it's like, dude, you just got to kind of see what's going on. Take yourself out of your shoes. Get rid of your fears of like, oh no, it's new. Like, get rid of your fears. Start doing your research and kind of see the amount of money that's being brought in, the amount of awareness, and the people that are investing in Bitcoin. And it might change your perspective a little bit.
Yeah. And two things to add on to that.
Yeah.
One saying that I always try to live by. Now, granted, take this with a grain of salt, but you have to think about this. If it's always too good for you, it'll never be for you.
Wow.
Think about it. There's crypto right now, and people still think Bitcoin is a scam because they think it's too good to be true. Well, that mindset allows you to miss out on opportunities. And as an investor, it's our job to see opportunities before other people. Because most of the gains of money is made once the big man says, yeah, it's okay to invest now, right? And so just think about the people that was able to invest in Bitcoin under a penny. I mean, ridiculous.
Can't imagine.
And then the second thing is you have to follow the money. And I preach this all the time. If you follow the money and you be patient, you will be successful. Grayscale, they are the largest digital asset holder manager in the world. Think about that. There are over 10,000 plus cryptocurrencies. If they only have a select few for cryptocurrency funds, that's telling you right there some cryptos you should be watching. That's telling you cryptos right there that's going to be here when the smoke clears. Not financial advice, but I'm just telling you guys, you have to follow the money. The largest digital asset manager in the world, and they only have a select few out of 10,000 plus cryptocurrencies. It's not rocket science, you know?
I want to find their products. Do you know them off the top of your head? The ones that Grayscale?
Go to grayscale.com.
Oh, wow. They invest into Centraland.
And so they just added 5 new cryptocurrencies, Filecoin, Basic Attention Token. And I've been invested in Basic Attention Token since around 18 cents, just to be honest. That was my very first.
Now?
It's over $1. It's like $1.25 since I last looked.
Hey.
But anyway,
I'd love to hear that.
I did my first cryptocurrency video ever was 11 months ago, and it was on the Basic Attention Token in the Brave browser. So the people that listened to me then that may have been skeptical have over 10x their money.
Yo, this is great, not financial advice. But this is like, that's a great way of looking at it. Like, hey, Grayscale, check out what they're listing. Right? They have Basic Attention Token, Bitcoin, what's it called? Not Mania. What's it called? Like their
Mana.
Anyways, like their digital world, it's a token. Mana. Thank you. It's a digital world where you can buy land and certain, like, it's going to get crazy. Like, that's what the people that are listening need to realize is like, it is going to get crazy in terms of, have you seen Ready Player One?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's like, we are going to be, whether you choose to or not, like there's going to be a digital world that people can live in, and it's going to be completely separate from the reality that we're in.
Now, I really
believe so.
I do know
that's coming, dude.
Like,
with VR goggles,
we're going to have digital avatars, man.
Bro, we are. And guess what? A lot of people on Earth don't really like their lives. And guess what? They're fat, they're overweight. Bro, you put on the goggles, you go in, and you're fucking Superman. You got all the girls in the world, all the guys in the world. You got all the money, the houses, the cars. Like, dude, that's a real thing. And like,
Dude,
graphics
that's
are gonna
crazy
get so.
though.
It's real, bro. Dude, check. That's the one thing. Check Ready Player One. It's a Steven Spielberg movie. It is legit, and it's becoming more familiarized, and it's becoming more real as we continue to go down this digital world. But that's cool to see that Decentraland's on there, Ethereum's on there, Ethereum Classic, Filecoin, Horizon, Litecoin, and Live
Stellar, Ripple, XRP. Don't forget about them either. Oh yeah.
Are they on Grayscale?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? Oh yeah. See, I live in California, so they had the cookies blocker on the bottom, so I couldn't see Stellar, Ripple, and Zcash. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, man. It's like, look at that. Like, and guess what? Here's the truth. One of these, two of these might not make it, but this is a great starting point. So go to grayscale.co, check out some of their investments. And like I said, me and Mike are not advising you to do anything, but these are these are some things that we're doing, and it's been working so far.
And I will say this, since we're, harping on the not financial advice, right?
Yeah. What's that about? Can we say that? What are we saying?
So I'm going to say this, man, in the crypto space, because we get there's a lot of crap coins out there, right? And so I'll say this, definitely in the crypto space, there's nothing wrong with investing into a crap coin if you know when to take profits. I'm going to say this again. There's nothing wrong with investing into a crap coin if you know it's a crap coin, okay? If you know when to take profits.
I love that. How do you know when the right time is to take profits?
The idea is you have to not be greedy. You have to set a price target. And that's one thing that I've done as well. Like if you have like your core positions, right? You say you have this amount of much, if this hits $20, you're a millionaire. Well, everyone's financial status is different. Everyone's financial goal is different. So your price targets may be different from mine, definitely depending on what you hold. So at that point, you have to make that decision, and you want to have a price target before things start pumping, because you're going to be too emotional at the time of. You won't pull the trigger and you'll end up losing most of the money. So you have to be able to either set price targets to sell all, or set different price targets as it rises to sell each level. So for example, say I got 100% in a position. Well, when it hits 25, I'm going to sell 10%. When it hits 50%, I'm going to sell 25%. Not saying this is financial advice or what I'm doing, but just giving you an example. And you have to set price targets for yourself based off of where you bought in. For example, we were talking about BitTorrent. If you holding 2 million in BitTorrent right now, you only need BitTorrent to hit 50 cents. So right there is a price target. If in the next 5 years or so, we see BitTorrent over 50 cents and you're holding 2 million. You don't have to look at your portfolio to know you have $2 million in that position. So it's up to you as an investor to make that decision to say, do I want to pull the trigger, or do I want to gamble and try to make more? You've already set out to make your normal goal. So as an investor, you have to make that decision. Great
Knowledge sharing right there, because it's so true. It's like when this shit is going up, it's hard to sell. It hits $1, and guess what? You're like, dude, but it could hit 4, it could hit 2. It could hit 3. And we're talking
how
like
you lose your money.
It is. And we're talking, dude, we're getting in early on coins. So like if it hits 1, we're not talking 1 or 2, like we're talking millions of dollars. So it's like, I think this is, it's, you're playing it safe too, right? You're not just playing it safe. You're being smart about it too, which I think is important. And it's like, look, if you make 50, 100, 500,000 off a coin, that's great.
Take profits.
Come on.
Take profits.
Bro, that's going to take you 10 years to do that in the corporate world. Right? So it's like, dude, take profits, be smart, live another day, buy yourself a nice car, and, have fun with it. But it's like, it's just tough because everything's pumping and you see these coins, like 1 million Xing, and it's easy to fall into that trap. But I think that is great. I got to ask you too. It's like, why do we say not financial advice so much? Because it's like, I'm just kind of getting into this crypto space a little bit, and I see everyone saying it. Like, can you get screwed by giving out financial advice, even if you're just talking like your personal opinions?
If someone wants to push a little bit, it can get a little muddy, because someone can say, "Oh, I bought this project because of you," and then it went down. You know, even if you're just giving your opinion, there's people that may say that. For example, think about the people who sued. I forgot what company it was, but think about the people who sued someone because the coffee was hot. Well, it's common sense that the coffee is hot. It says caution on the cup, but they still was able to sue the company because of that. So there's things like that that can happen, and so you just want to kind of protect yourself because of those type of things, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And I think it's important because it's like, we're really not giving out financial advice. Like, we're just like sharing our thoughts and hoping people can get in and see the profits that we've gotten as well. And, but we're not like, hey, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money. It's like, do whatever you want, but hey, this is what's working for me. These are the projects I'm hot on. But I understand how you could get kind of caught up in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that was like McDonald's or I think it was McDonald's that got.
I think it was McDonald's. I believe so.
Yeah, like probably like 20 years ago, right? Like back in the day, some shit like that happened. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, you get a hot coffee from McDonald's, like, you should know, but that person's sitting on a couple million, and hopefully back in 2013 they invested that into Bitcoin. But who knows? That's awesome, man. And then, I'm also interested too. And for anyone that's made it this far on the podcast, I know that you do put out a lot of content. You put out an incredible amount of content on YouTube, on Twitter. I haven't seen your Instagram. I'm sure you got an Instagram as well. But tell me a little bit about your Patreon for anyone that's interested in joining that select program. What exactly are you doing on Patreon?
Yeah, man. So the Patreon is for some of the people who want to support me on kind of like a deeper level. It gives them exclusive access. So not only do I show my Voyager public portfolio to them so they can see what the value is, what the positions are, I give them alert buys. So when I'm buying, so like, even though I tweeted it on Twitter, not all the time I do that when I make a buy, but I'm sending it to my Patreon members. I'm showing them where I bought in, how much I spent, and what the new position looks like. So they're actually seeing the proof of the pudding when I'm making these transactions. They also have the ability to ask me anything on the fly about different posts I may make inside the Patreon, or questions that they may have publicly or privately. So it gives people also that kind of one-on-one advantage. And it is just a lot of other things that's inside of the Patreon that they're able to see that's just exclusive to the Patreon. Like, there's a coin that I haven't revealed yet that's inside my Voyager app, well, my Patreon members have known for quite some time.
Nice.
Before I put out the Iota video, the very first one, my Patreon members knew about that. They knew my position already, so they get first dibs on this stuff before I actually put it out, so definitely check it out, man.
Yeah. How do people find it?
It's just patreon.com. And then if you want to do the URL, patreon.com/Mike the Investor, or you can just go to Patreon and just go to the search bar, just type in my name and I'll pop right up.
Guys, and if you're listening on only audio too, you might be able to see the episode, name, but it's Mike the Investor. The is THA, Mike the Investor. My guy, man, I think that we covered a lot here. That was a lot of fun, dude. I think that we should do this again. Maybe we should get our fearless leader, Steve, the CEO of Voyager, on. But man, that was a ton of fun. We covered a lot. I think that this was a great hour. Man, one last final thing. Where can people find you, online? I know you just told us about the Patreon. Is it the same across all platforms? Where can people find you so they can stay up to date on the YouTube, on the Twitter, on the Instagram? Let them know.
Absolutely, man. So you can find me. The Twitter handle is the same on all platforms as Mike the Investor, MIKETHA Investor, INVESTOR. That's on Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Perfect, man. Man, dude, it was great having you on. A lot covered. We got some great knowledge shared, and it was just great to meet you. So I thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart for coming on. We got to do this again. And hey, cheers. To the moon we go.
Hey, to the moon we go, Jake. Once again, thanks for having me on, man, and love your energy, bro. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon, all right?
All right.